Well, welcome back. I mean, that is some compelling video. I've seen a lot of compelling videos in my day. Texas versus Roy Oliver. That police officer who shot that 15-year-old boy is now standing as a defendant at trial. And the question is whether or not he had used reasonable force, even though he wasn't the right person and even though he had no weapons and hadn't done anything wrong. The law is very complex. We dealt with that with Vincent Hill a little bit earlier on today. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe that in fact we do. Tiffinni Young, she's one of our reporters. Hi, Tiffinni, down there at the trial. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. So you are in this courtroom. You're following this case. My first question to you is, when the video is being played to the jury, as a prosecutor, I'm always kind of, without them knowing about it, looking to see how are they reacting to it. What are you seeing from the jurors?
Well, I couldn't see the jurors today when the video was played because there are more screens and TVs in the courtroom today, so you don't have as good of a view of them. But when the video was played last week, on last Thursday and Friday, you certainly saw jurors who were paying attention, who were kind of intently looking at the video, and you saw some shudders there. Certainly today, as we've seen both officers' video body cam with a side-by-side analysis, you can really see quite clearly the car leaving the scene. And so, you know, I think the jurors have seen that as well.
Right. I mean, I know that is a contention in this case, and that the officer had indicated that he believed the car was backing up in the partner, and the chief of police actually supported that theory, and then, of course, the body cam footage disputes that. But in the case right now, do you have a feel on what's going on in terms of the defense in the case? Are they scoring any kind of points out there to kind of say, like, look, this was a chaotic scene, there was a lot going on, shots had just been fired, a window's broken, cars moving, cop made a mistake, but it's not a crime. Are you seeing anything like that?
Well, I don't know that the jury has scored yet. We know that they have reserved their time to make their opening statement until the prosecution rests. I think that last week we saw some very strong witnesses from some teenagers who seemingly have experienced much trauma. But they still were very strong on the witness stand. And so haven't really been able, and we've had some discussion there in the hallway just trying to get a grasp as to where the defense may be coming. Certainly, as you just said, you will probably hear them say, you know, it was a chaotic scene, but you don't see a whole lot of movement because, remember, many of the teenagers had left when the police first came and cleared the scene. And so there were some still there. But it doesn't look like it was just a complete chaos.
Well, you know, I guess chaos is in the eyes of the beholder. It looks pretty chaotic to me, but I'm not there listening to it. When these kids are testifying, from the cross-examination of the defense, are you gleaning anything from where the defense is going by the questions they're asking those young men?
I think what we've seen is that the defense is possibly was trying to certainly find inconsistencies, perhaps with some of the young people's testimony, and then certainly just this whole notion that, hey, this all happens so quick. There's a lot of time being spent on discussing the sequence of events and the timing of events and the milliseconds that this all happened in. And so certainly there's been some attention there as it relates to the timing and how quickly this all took place.
You know, Tiffinni, sometimes as a prosecutor, you don't want things to be too complex. It's a keep it simple, stupid rule. And while that video expert is really good at showing side-by-side comparisons, it's really hard to explain to jurors this slide is this and the other slide is that, and here's the timing matching up with the audio. Is it coming across good, or is it coming across as a little complex to understand?
I definitely think it's coming across as a little complex, a little bit too much to bite off for someone, you know, from a layman's perspective. Even there in the courtroom, you can kind of see some puzzled looks and just trying to keep up with some of the terminology.
Yeah, listen, Tiffany Young out there doing the job for us on the Law and Crime Network. We really appreciate your analysis, and I can't say more that as a prosecutor, you need to make sure you keep it simple, because anything you do that may be complex is creating some level of doubt. But listen, we were talking with Tiffany about these young men that have testified and that they've been compelling witnesses, and one of those is Jeremy Seaton. Let's go and listen to his testimony, and we'll be back on the other end.